Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'd like to do a little tutorial on what it means to have a lovely touch. And what better composer than Chopin to illustrate this with. For example, if I were to play, see, that's not a lovely touch because I didn't relax the hand enough as I sink in to be able to pull the key down and pull the hammer up as I melt into the keys. So if I can go, just think of the tone I want in my mind first and go out, and then I need the voicing. I need to hear all the voices. So I wrote down some ideas that I want to be able to recall for you. Just there are some analogies that I think are useful. They may sound foolish, but when you think about it, they really do apply. I mean, it's one thing to say hanging from the edge of a cliff with the relaxed weight of your arm, but if you don't take into account how the hammer is coming up into the wire and making the wire vibrate like a skipping rope, transferred through the bridge to the sounding board, which transfers the vibrations through to the eardrum, you miss out on what you're trying to convey. So if I can think of a supple hand, Chopin talked about having a supple hand a lot. Well, relaxed shoulders, elbows, wrists, all for the purpose of being able to bring the hammer up gently. And if you don't have a firm finger, you don't have control of how you're drawing the hammer up or how you're drawing the key down. So it has to be firm. The action has to be from that main arch with the slightly dropped wrist. Elbow so loose that it can fly out. If you pull out, it'll just flop back. But the word balance is so crucial. If you think of if you could picture a squirrel walking along a wire, hydro wire, and think of his balance, they're so agile. And if they go to fall, they know to spread themselves way out so that when they come crashing down, they don't hurt themselves. But it's a balance. They've got claws, they're gripping, but they're balanced on that wire. Now, if you imagine that squirrel is dropped, and if you think of what a Ringer washing machine is like, the big tub of water, and it's swishing all around. And if you think of that, and you think of the pad of the finger, the muscles that have to be in the pad of the finger to keep the balance when this is happening underneath or on the bottom of the key, this movement, you will use the finger strength. You want to be able to sink down into the muscles of your hands. So if your hand is stiff, you won't get in there. And if you can think of that swishing and that the fingers are gripping to keep your balance while this is happening in the bottom of the key, then you're much more likely to feel what balance is all about after you've produced the sound, because then you have to be able to crawl over to the next vertical drop in and draw and link the two with two down at once to crawl to the next note and make it smooth and vocal. So trying to get all of that in. If you think of an elephant's trunk, you know, an elephant's trunk has 40,000, I heard this on the Nature Channel, 40,000 muscles. And he can take in so many liters of water and throw it through his throat, into his throat. The body needs so much water every day. And he's got such control with that trunk of what he can do with it. It's just incredible. You've got control in the pads of your fingers, what you're capable of doing with those when you're crawling in the keys and making it as smooth as silk. So trying to make the line sing. It's to make it a vocal line. That's what if music doesn't sing or speak or convey a message, it's not getting through what you want from your soul, from your heart as you sing it. Another thing is to be aware of your accompaniment. The accompaniment, if you can micro count the accompaniment steadily, each set of, say, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like if I'm doing the swan is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when I come to the end of a phrase, I can spread that 1, 2, 3, 4, take a breath, and then start again and ease into the new phrase. It's ways that allow you to stay in control and be expressive at the same time. And this is what your goal is when you're trying to make music. You have to be listening in such an intent way to yourself and to what's coming out of your instrument. Now, if you want to play really quietly, the piano, if you flop down and you draw the key down gently, you'll get to that point, and then there's that little bump. And that's where the jack is pushing up on, comes to touching the knuckle and pushes up on it, and the knuckle is on the hammer shank, and on the end of the hammer shank is the hammer, and it flies up into the wire to make it sing. So if you can get that brushing, that you only play as far down as you feel that bump, and then you're drawing the finger in and brushing the key. As long as you've got that upper arm roll out and then flopping as you do it, you can play very, very quietly. Like if I want to play heavy, if I want to play light, I can be as light as I want to, because I'm only trying to play that far down and then brush. And because I'm so relaxed and going through like that, I can hear a gentle sound out of the piano, and it's not a forced sound. Because if you're right on the bottom and trying to play quiet, it's pretty tricky. So these are ideas that I think can help a lot when you're trying to make music. You want to make the piano sing. So I could take like. See, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, the melody is riding on this support cushion underneath of harmony and changes of harmony, just the same as this is. See, you can listen just like something like this. If you just have this, quite plain, the melody. It's there, it's beautiful melody, but when you get that, you micro count it, you see you can tongue that. You can 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tick, 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 tick. Because otherwise you might tend to go and not keep it even. But when you're micro counting and you're comparing one set of 4 ticks to another set of 4 ticks as the undercurrent, the support system to your piece, all of a sudden you see where you're keeping it steady, it makes the melody sound beautiful, and then you can spread at the ends of the phrases, breathe, and then start easing into your new phrase and this kind of thing. So there's just so many things you can do, but balance is so important. When we do our technique, our Sivking, we're balancing. We release on the way up, flop right through the floor, play down from the main arch, draw the key down, draw the hammer up, and balance, just like the squirrel is balancing on that hydro wire, or the person is hanging from the edge of a cliff with his fingertips. You're balanced there with your whole full arm weight that would come crashing back down if I push up. So you've got to be able to feel that full weight, nice healthy tone without pushing. Drop and draw, and then snap the lift up, nice high action. Independent fingers, all that kind of thing. This is what you can do in your slow practice of pieces as well. But thinking of balancing the arm and the body weight, even your seat is included in part of what's coming crashing down, and then you hang on to it like that. And then when you think of that Ringer washing machine, if I was doing something like this, you see, if I just do this, I can get out of the keys. But if I think of the bottom of the key as rotating one way and then the other like the washing machine, for each finger, the finger muscles, when I'm relaxed and I come down in the supple hand, I come into the muscles, the muscles can hold my balance vertical of the finger. So, and each one keeps the balance. And if I want gentle, you see a gentle support. 1, 2, 3. I don't want 1, 2, 3. It's not going to be calm. It's a cradle song. It's got to be calm. So release on the way up. Just think of the escapement and just play to that point, 2/3 of the way down the key. And the momentum of the finger will carry you the rest of the way as you flop through and draw gently. But you'll make that wave, you'll make that wire sing. So, and I don't want too heavy up there. 1, 2, 3. Because there's a decrescendo there. 1, 2, 3. Now this. See, it sings because there was no bottom. I just went right down, and then I'm resting on that and hanging on it. I want it to be cantabile. I need it to be dolce, sweet, and singing. So I need to use the finger, but I need to take just the color I want and bring. So. It's to make your instrument sing from your heart. So it's kind of a cycle. You're going through that and then coming out to the listener with your emotions in your music. So I hope that gives you some ideas when you're practicing, so that you're not just playing the notes, because too many people they don't think of the emotions. Maybe they're feeling the emotions inside of them, but they don't know the physical approach that allows you to have a beautiful touch. And this elasticity of the whole being, and the flowing, the fluid oil. Think of oil. Think of something. Think of the flowing of a waterfall. Think of motions like that. Anything that gives you freedom in your playing will allow it to become buoyant, that the melody, like I can think of, as long as it's singing and I'm shaping a phrase and I've got a support of undercurrent in the accompaniment, I can make beautiful sounds. So anyway, I hope that gives you some ideas to work with in your practicing. Have a good night now. Bye-bye.